Hello everybody and welcome back to Real Movie Talk. This is the show where we talk everything films and the industry that surrounds them. I'm your host Dec, and with me as always is Ben.
Welcome to the podcast.
And in today's episode, in traditional Real Movie Talk style, we're going to be doing our most anticipated movies of 2020 on the date of the 25th of February. So we're going to jump straight in. First of all, I think we should talk about some honourable mentions. I've got a few honourable mentions here. For me, first couple of honourable mentions for me, I'm going to say both of the Pixar movies coming out this year, both Soul and Onward. Onward's actually out next week. But I'm very excited about both of these films, but Soul a bit more than Onward, just because Onward I'm struggling to get behind as a concept, whereas Soul I'm instantly on board. But I'm a huge Pixar fan, so I'm going to be instantly excited about anything they're going to do. And it's cool that this year both of their films are original. We haven't got any sequels or anything like that, which as much as I get excited for their sequels like Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2, Cars 3, sometimes it's just nice to have one of their more original films, and that's what we're getting twice this year, which is nice. I've also put down A Quiet Place Part 2. Big fan of the first one, really enjoyed that movie. It was a really fun horror movie, and it's going to be really cool to see Krasinski come back to direct again. Emily Blunt kind of taking on a more of a starring role this time, and obviously Noah Jupe, who's been really increasing his kind of cinematic appearance recently. I think it's going to be fun to have him, and Millicent Simmons coming back as well, so really good film. I think that will be, and also Cillian Murphy in the cast as well, which is cool. Also, next I've got A24's The Green Knight. They released a trailer and poster for that recently with Dev Patel. This is the latest film from David Lowery. It looks amazing. I imagine you're pretty excited about this as well. But The Green Knight, that trailer, it kind of gave me vibes of like Hereditary and Midsommar, that kind of horror vibe, and I'm really excited about that because that just looks... It's such a cool setting and such a cool story idea, and for David Lowery to kind of take into a horror twist on that, I'm really excited for that. And the other movie I'm excited about is The King's Man. This is the third film in the Kingsman franchise. This is the prequel one. I wasn't excited about this until I saw the trailer, and I actually think the trailer makes this look like a lot of fun. And Matthew Vaughn's coming back to direct. If Matthew Vaughn wasn't directing this and writing this, I wouldn't be on board, but given the fact that he is still coming back to do this, makes me think that he must have some kind of vision and passion for it, so therefore I will as well. And I'm a big fan of Kingsman, so they're my honourable mentions.
Okay, yeah, good honorable mentions. My honorable mentions, I've got In the Heights. I think it looks really interesting. I love the trailer. Yeah, I love musicals, and Lin-Manuel Miranda, you can't go wrong with him. I got The Witches. I think that's a Robert Zemeckis film.
Yeah.
I really like the original book, Roald Dahl, and the previous film. So I'm very interested in that. I got Everybody's Talking About Jamie because that's a big thing in the West End. I haven't seen it yet.
Are they doing a movie?
But I love musicals. Yeah, and it's supposed to come out this year. I don't know if it will, but hopefully it will.
I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah, and so if it does come out, I'm really looking forward to that. I've got Blonde with Anna de Armas and the director of Killing Me Softly and The Assassination of Jesse James. So this is about Marilyn Monroe. Really interested. Looks really interesting to me. I got Halloween Kills because I really liked Halloween. Yeah, very much so. Looking forward to that. I got Antlers, which is produced by Guillermo del Toro. Big Guillermo fan, and I love the stuff he produces. I've just added on The Green Knight as soon as you said that, because that trailer looks fucking sick.
It does.
And I'm really curious because when I first saw it, I was like, this is going to be like a sort of traditional like King Arthur thing. But then I saw the trailer and I was like, whoa, okay. Hello. And I love David Lowery, so, sign me up to anything he does. And my final honorable mention is The Conjuring 3. I don't really like the title, but it's The Conjuring. The Devil Made Me Do It. But I just really look forward to every Conjuring film. So that's why it's on my honorable mentions. Yeah, I think my picks are pretty interesting.
So with the honourable mentions out the way, it's time that we jump into our list. So I think we do it like we did our top 10 of the year, where we just kind of go back and forth between each number. So I'll kick us off this time with my number 10, which is Snake Eyes. Also, I'd like to say my list is going to be so normie. It's going to be so filled with just like such normie movies. But anyway, my number 10 is Snake Eyes. This is the G.I. Joe spin-off we've got coming out. Now, I know nothing about G.I. Joe. I have no passion for it whatsoever. I'm excited for this movie because this is the next role for Henry Golding, who I absolutely love. I fell in love with him in Crazy Rich Asians. I loved him in A Simple Favor. Really loved him in The Gentleman. He's just been getting all these awesome roles. And I just think, although he's maybe not the greatest actor in the world, I just really enjoy him as a presence. So him being cast as Snake Eyes was really exciting. And also Samara Weaving is in the cast, who I absolutely love. She's a great sort of modern horror icon, really, in movies like The Babysitter and Mayhem and recently Ready or Not. So that's really cool. And then the most exciting casting announcement for me is that the villain is going to be played by one of my favourite actors of all time, Iko Uwais, who is from the Raid movies and The Night Comes For Us and Wu Assassins. So many things that I love. I love Iko Uwais, and he's the villain of this, and he's going to be fighting Henry Golding. You tell me that, and I'm already sold. I don't care what your movie is. I don't care what franchise it's in. If you're telling me Henry Golding is fighting Iko Uwais, I will take it, and I'll watch anything Iko Uwais is in. So that is simply why it's number 10.
Damn, I was not expecting that. That was a surprise. I mean, I love Samara Weaving. I thought she was so good in Ready or Not. As you know, I'm not the biggest Henry Golding fan. I thought he was actually pretty charming in Last Christmas, not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't mind him in there. The Gentleman, I liked the film, but I wasn't a big fan of him.
To be fair, he's not very good in The Gentleman because he's trying so hard to be, like, super hard gangster, and he's just not that at all.
But, I don't have any interest in the actual property, but I think maybe Samara Weaving would make me go watch it, maybe, potentially. Should I do my 10?
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Number 10 is Mank, the new David Fincher film.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming out on Netflix, and obviously they'll release it in cinemas in, like, London, LA, New York, probably. So it is about... So it's based on like a script or like something that his dad wrote, David Fincher's dad wrote, and it's based on I think it's the writer of Citizen Kane, and it's to do with Citizen Kane, and Citizen Kane is one of my favorite films of all time. So obviously I have, a lot of investment in this sort of idea, I guess. But also it's David Fincher. I think Gary Oldman's starring in the film, and I don't know much about what's happening, but like everything about it, Citizen Kane, Gary Oldman, David Fincher, black and white, it's all leaning towards, very much so probably something that I would be looking forward to a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know a lot about this just because it's something I haven't really heard about. I do know, obviously, I knew it was going to be surrounding Citizen Kane, and I knew, obviously, this was Fincher's latest movie and stuff. So we don't really know a lot about it yet, but I think that, obviously, with Fincher behind it, and the concept alone, I think, is drawing a lot of attention, and I think it is going to be a really big movie, like, especially for sort of cinephiles. I think it's going to be a really big film, so it's definitely an appropriate choice for number 10. My number 9, God, my list is so normal. Like, you've come out with a Fincher movie, and I started with, like, bloody Snake Eyes. And I'm going to continue the trend. Number 9, I've gone with The Purge 5. It's not been titled yet.
Jesus Christ.
Now, The Purge is up there with Transformers as one of my just ultimate guilty pleasure movies. I love the Purge franchise. I always love the concept of it, and I've followed all the movies. I really like them. I watch the TV series. I enjoy it. And The Purge 5 is supposedly the final Purge movie, although they've said that after the third one. There's really not a lot to say about it because we know nothing about it. Like I said, it hasn't even got a title yet. It's just called The Purge 5 right now. But I'm excited for it because it's another Purge movie. It's Blumhouse. I love Blumhouse, so I'll watch it. I'm excited about it. And yeah, like I said, I don't really have anything to say about it because we don't know anything about it, but it's the new Purge movie and I'm excited.
Oh, I was not expecting that either. I've only watched
I Am Trash.
I think one of them, and I don't really care for them as well. But anyway,
I Am Trash.
My number 9. I know you are Declan. My number 9 is it's come out in America already, but it's not out here yet, and I have no idea when it's coming out, and I really want to find out, but I can't find out anywhere. But it's Gretel and Hansel, the film.
Yeah.
The trailer is so fucking good. Like, I am so hyped for this film. It's by Oz Perkins. He's a really good director. He is the son, I believe, of Anthony Perkins from Psycho. That's a really cool thing, number 1. But then also he's a really good director, and the trailer is so fucking good. Like, it looks exactly in the sort of style that I like in regards to sort of horror, because it feels very much so like The Witch, maybe mixed in with like some Hereditary. I don't know. It's like perfect to my sort of taste in horror recently. So yeah, the trailers definitely sold me, and I really want to see it.
Yeah, that movie, yeah, it has come out, hasn't it? I've seen like some reviews and stuff, people coming out in the US. I don't know when that's coming out here, but
I have
that's
no
just
idea.
that's movies in the UK for you. Number 8, I have Black Widow. Um, this is a very normie choice again, but a bit more of an understandable one. Black Widow, I mean, what's more to say about it? I mean, it's the MCU. This is the next MCU film. Huge Marvel fan, so I'm going to be excited about this. I mean, I will admit, like, out of all the Phase 4 Marvel films, this is definitely the one I'm least excited about, just because I feel like it's almost a little too late for this character, especially following Endgame. But I think the trailer looks fantastic, so I was really, like, the trailer really got me on board. I mean, obviously, I was always excited. I was always going to watch it. The cast of this is amazing, but the trailer really got me on board. I think Kate Shortland was a really smart choice to direct this, and to kind of give ScarJo kind of her final send-off as his character, I think is really, really nice. And like I said, the cast is awesome. Rachel Weisz joining, really exciting. David Harbour as Red Guardian looks amazing. I love Taskmaster as the villain. And the main draw for me is Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova. Florence is one of my favourite actresses working today. She's just absolutely phenomenal in everything she does. So casting her in the MCU, I couldn't be more excited about that. So yeah, Black Widow, I'm pretty excited about it. Again, out of Marvel movies and probably out of the superhero movies coming out next year, it's one of my least anticipated, but I'm still really excited about it overall.
I guess that's a pick that I was kind of like expecting, because it's. I mean, everyone's excited, really. I'm excited, but I share the same thoughts. I think maybe it's a little bit too late. The trailer, I like the trailer, but the only thing that kind of worries me, and I've said this, I think the accents, like, they seem very fake. I don't know, to me, but every time I hear a Russian accent by someone who's not Russian, I always think they're acting. So hopefully that's just the trailer that's making me do that, because I love Florence Pugh and I love Rachel Weisz, and I just can't wait to see them, with Scarlett Johansson and stuff like that. So I'm very much so looking forward to it, but I'm a little bit skeptical at the same time. That's why it's not in my top 10. Okay, my number 8 pick is A Quiet Place Part 2, directed by John Krasinski once again. A Quiet Place was easily one of the best films of 2018. It honestly is the most tense film I've ever seen. I was literally like, I don't think I breathed at all. I had like no breath in the cinema. I think I maybe breathed once. That's how tense it was. I think I saw it like 4 times or something like that, and it scared me shitless every time. And I thought it was just incredibly smart and really well directed, really well written, and the concept of sort of this horror, but really it's about like the family and them sticking together, and it's less so about the monster. And I really appreciate that, because if you see like a lot of very generic horror films now, it's all about like just the monster, like say Insidious, like The Last Key or something. It's all about the freaking monster, and it's just doesn't work. And this was something completely new, something incredibly tense and like really well made. And so I coming out of that, I was like, oh, they're probably going to make part 2 if this does well. So, it was kind of inevitable once it did well. I saw the trailer. I really love the trailers, the new ones. But at the same time, I don't think it's necessary, but I think it's going to be really good, and that's why it's on my list.
Yeah, I think that, I had it in my honorable mentions. I think the first one was really kind of a standout film in how it was done. And also, I was really, because I remember being really scared going into the movie, not because of the movie, but because of the audience. I was like, because obviously the whole movie's so quiet and it's got to be like that, and I was just so worried. Luckily, my audience was amazing and everyone was on the same page with it. And with that experience, it just made it so interesting. And once it did so well, it was obvious it was going to get a sequel. And I think adding in like Cillian Murphy to the cast is a really fun addition. So I'm excited to see what he does, because he looks really.
I
cool
was surprised.
Yeah, I was as well. Like, I was surprised they actually managed to get him, because he's really, really cool looking in this. So I'm excited about that. For my number 7, I have gone with Wonder Woman 1984. This film, I am very, very excited about. I really liked the first Wonder Woman. I think that movie was really great at the time. I do feel like, I've mentioned this before, but I feel like the third act of that movie does really let it down, but the first two in particular are fantastic. I love Gal as this character, and bringing this from the sort of, from the World War One setting to the 80s setting, I think is a really interesting choice, and one that I think will just deliver a really fun movie. Like, we've seen a lot of kind of like role reversal in the trailer, where in the first movie Diana was kind of like, fish out of water, whereas now we have Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, who's kind of the fish out of water character now. I'm very interested to see how Steve has come back, why he's back, and what his kind of function is within this movie, because I don't believe he's real. I don't think this is like the actual Steve Trevor. I think this is some kind of, I don't know, other version to do with Maxwell Lord. Speaking of Maxwell Lord, Pedro Pascal, great casting choice there. And it's actually interesting, I found out the other day that Pedro Pascal was actually in the original Wonder Woman TV pilot that never got picked up. So that's kind of interesting that he's back in the franchise. And then, like I say, I'm really excited about Gal. The action looks amazing. The music should be great. If that trailer is anything to go by, the music's going to be amazing in this. I just think, like, expanding on the Wonder Woman character, she's easily one of the most interesting within the DCEU. So I want to see what they're going to do with it. And I think that this film was a logical next step. And I think that as a next step, it looks fantastic for me. And I'm very, very excited to see where it goes.
I completely echo your sentiments. Was that your 7th pick, right?
7, yeah.
Well, guess what? My 7th is Wonder Woman as well. So there we go. We agree for once. So yeah, Wonder Woman 1984. I can't wait. Like, I was super hyped, obviously, since Wonder Woman. Like, it's been a few years now. But the trailer came out, and man, this trailer gets me pumped every time I hear it. I love that music.
It's so good.
That music works so well with the trailer, and I'm
really
just
does.
hyped, more hyped, and more hyped, and more hyped every time I see the trailer. But, I think the big thing for me, like, separating 2 and 1, like, the first one was so fucking good. It's like one of my favorite films of the decade. I love it so much, and I know loads of people, like you said, you don't like the third act. I don't care. I like the third act, and I just love the film. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's easily my favorite like DCEU film. Obviously excluding like the Dark Knight, Joker, and stuff. But yeah, so obviously I love the first one. So obviously I'm super hyped for the second one. But that trailer, man, is so good. So it had to be in the list.
Yeah. I just can't, like, every time I'm in the cinema, like, if I go to, like, a 4DX screening or an IMAX screening and I just hear just, like, the Blue Monday music just start pumping, it's just, the energy that comes from that is unlike anything else. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited about it. For my number 6, returning to the MCU, I'm going with The Eternals. The Eternals is definitely my most anticipated comic movie of the year. Purely because of how interesting it is. I think that the Eternals as a concept is one that's difficult to grasp, but I think that this is going to be one of the most interesting and different and dynamic MCU films. I think that the cast is unparalleled. Like, the fact they've managed to get people like Angelina Jolie in this movie is insane. Salma Hayek, Brian Tyree Henry, Richard Madden, Kit Harington. I'm a really big fan of the casting of Lauren Ridloff from The Walking Dead. She's a huge standout on that show right now. So bringing her over, she's also being the first deaf superhero, because she is a deaf actress. So I think that's really cool. And I just think that, like, visually this movie's going to be incredible. I think it's going to be like the new Guardians of the Galaxy, where you're not quite sure how it's going to play and where it's going to, sort of how it's going to look. But once you see it, it's going to be kind of completely mesmerizing, a bit like Guardians was. So I think that hopefully, if it follows through, this will be the same. And I think that Chloe Zhao is a very competent director that will be able to bring that forward. So I think that The Eternals, while it's difficult to talk about at the moment because we still don't know anything about it really, we don't really know how it looks outside of a couple of set photos, I think that it could be one of the most exciting MCU films that we've seen in a long time if it comes off.
Oh, good pick. I'm still sort of unsure about the film because I don't know really what it's about apart from it's in space and such. I think the director is a good choice. I think the cast is really good, but I just don't know until I see something basically as of right now. So, it's probably going to be really good, but right now I can't really say much about it. My number 6 is Dune by Denis Villeneuve. Literally a few days ago, I watched Arrival for the first time. It was showing in the cinema. Have you seen Arrival?
Of course I have.
Well, I watched it and I was there. And after the film, straight away, I just was like, holy fuck. What has this man done to me?
Yes.
What has he done?
The
And I
God to
was
me.
literally just there, speechless. Like, this is like, I only get this feeling like a few times, say a year. Like last year, I had it when I first watched Interstellar, and I've watched it like 10 times since, like 5 times in the cinema or whatever, whenever it comes back on. I had it with Lolita, which was a Stanley Kubrick film. I had it recently with like Mistress America, Noah Baumbach film, and then I had it with Arrival. I was like, this is one of the best films I've ever seen. Honestly, swear to God. So I'm a massive Denis fan, and Blade Runner was my favorite of 2017. Sicario is probably the best of that year as well. Pretty much like neck and neck with, I forgot whatever was in the year, but I know there was some stuff that I loved. But Denis is one of my favorites. He's made some of the best films, I think, like ever, to be honest. And so obviously I'm super hyped for his next film, and I think June is perfect for him, coming off of, when I was watching Arrival the other day, I was like, of course they picked him to do Blade Runner. I just had that feeling. And then when they announced they were doing June, and after seeing Blade Runner, I was like, of course they picked him to do June. It just makes sense. And I think he's like perfect for this, and I just can't wait. Also, it's got like a really great cast, especially I can't wait to see Timothée Chalamet in a Denis film.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm all in for this. I'm all in for Denis and June.
Yeah. I actually have got June on my list, so I will come back to that. But yeah, very very excited. I'll say my thoughts later. My number 5 is No Time to Die. This is the next Bond film and the 5th and final movie for Daniel Craig as Bond. I was a little bit worried about this movie in the production because obviously there was a bit of production trouble with this. Danny Boyle was originally meant to direct. He dropped out. Cary Fukunaga came in from True Detective. I think that, though, what is interesting about this one is when the trailer came out, it completely blew me away, which Bond trailers rarely do. Like, I'm quite a big Bond fan, and I have followed the franchise very closely. I have watched all of them. I own them all on Blu-ray. I'm a big fan of this franchise. So with this particular era, I think Daniel Craig has really taken this character and thrusted him into the modern day. So with this final film, I think that they really had to nail kind of not only that gritty aspect that kind of kicked him off in Casino Royale, but also kind of bring him into the classic Bond style that they've kind of started. They kind of started to do it in Spectre, but I'm really seeing it with this one, and I think that they are really riding that wave of the two of them and blending them perfectly, and that's the vibe I'm getting from the trailer. Also, Rami Malek is the villain, which I'm really excited about. Although Rami, for me, is a bit of a hit and miss actor, I think him as a villain could work really well, and I like the look of him. He looks awesome. I just think that they're bringing all the cast, like Lashana Lynch playing the new 007, I think is a really great choice. Can't wait to see what she's going to be doing. Ana de Armas as a Bond girl. Come on. The action looks amazing. I genuinely think this could top Casino Royale as the best Bond movie for Craig. Potentially, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket there. I don't want to put my balls on the line, but I think there is the potential that it could. I'm just really excited about this. Again, I wasn't that excited about it at first because of all the production trouble, but after the trailer, I was like, okay, I can see where you're going with this now, and I can see what this is trying to do. And if it comes off, I think that this could be, like I say, maybe Craig's best and one of the best Bond movies of all time. And I love I love the name, I love the song from Billie Eilish. Like, I love the fact that they've got Billie Eilish to do the song. Really cool choice. So all the pieces are coming together in just the right way for me in this one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like Bond, especially Skyfall, but I'm not the biggest fan. And I have to say the trailer is really good. I really like it, especially how it's shot. I think it's really interesting. I wasn't the biggest fan of Spectre, so maybe that's why my anticipation's a bit low. But I love Cary Fukunaga, or however you say his name. I actually got to sit next to him at the premiere of his Netflix show, Maniac. I really like Maniac.
Oh, yeah.
I
forgot to mention as well, Hans Zimmer's doing the score, which I mean Hans is my boy.
Oh yeah.
So I gotta mention Hans. He's doing the score. Like, I cannot wait to hear Hans Zimmer's take on the Bond theme. I cannot wait to hear that. That is like something my ears will bleed to.
And who shot the film? It's Linus Sandgren, who I'm a massive fan of. He did La La Land, First Man. Like, come on,
He's
this guy is
boy.
fucking sick. And so yeah, I think especially I'm looking forward to the film because of the looks, because I think it looks really nice. But I don't know about. I still got like pause about seeing Rami Malek again. Not gonna lie, because Bohemian Rhapsody. That's
like,
the only thing.
He's like my big contention. Like, I think he could be really cool if he plays it well, but he also could be just a bit. He could just be Rami Malek.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Nothing against the guy, but okay. So my pick for number 5 is Edgar Wright's new film, Last Night in Soho. I'm a massive Edgar Wright fan. I met him in real life. Haha.
Yes, we all know.
I've met him 3 times, but I only got a photo once. Yeah, so Last Night in Soho, I was actually there when they were filming it. I didn't like see the filming, but I saw the sets and stuff, and it's really cool. Some 60s London-based stuff, obviously in Soho, like the title suggests. And it's apparently a psychological 60s-based horror, and that's like the perfect era for me. That's what I like. And psychological horror is probably my favorite genre, as well as musicals, because I'm weird. But I think this is perfect because Edgar Wright has talked about like all his influences and stuff, and he's a massive horror fan, especially when it comes to psychological, where it's more sort of subtle and a bit more sort of about atmosphere and like a chilling factor. I don't know how far he's going to go into that, or if it's going to be rooted in other genres and stuff. But it's also starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie. Thomasin McKenzie, one of the best new actors, obviously Leave No Trace, and more recently Jojo Rabbit. But I say Leave No Trace, that's what you got to look at, because she's so fucking good. But Anya Taylor-Joy, The Witch, she was in Emma recently. She was quite good in that. But yeah, so big fan of Anya Taylor-Joy in horror-based stuff, especially I really like The Secret of Marrowbone in 2018. That was really good, as well as The Witch, obviously, is amazing. But I think it's mainly because it's Edgar Wright, it's Soho, it's psychological horror, 60s, and the cast. Everything seems to be right for me. And obviously, I think Baby Driver is one of the best films of the decade as well. So, you know, I'm all in for this.
Yeah, I did nearly put this on my list. Didn't quite miss out, but I had a feeling that you were going to put it on there anyway, so that's all good. My number 4, and this is a very, very personal pick. It's Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun is kind of a classic movie for me. It's one of like my all-time favorites. Purely because it was a film I kind of grew up with. Like, it's basically my mum's favorite movie of all time, so I was kind of grew up on it in that way. And the fact that it's taken them this long to do a sequel, I actually really respect, because I think that, you know, Tom Cruise, he's always said that, you know, he always wanted to do a sequel to Top Gun, but he wanted to wait until he had the story for it, and he actually had a good reason for doing it. He didn't want to just force out a sequel. So I think the fact that they've waited this long, I think shows that he clearly has a vision for this. I really like what they're doing with it. Like, it's kind of like the next generation. It's not really focusing on fighter pilots anymore. It seems to be more about drone tech and how that's going to be pushing out the era of fighter pilots and stuff. Miles Teller is playing Goose's son, and I love Miles Teller. I think that's a really good choice, and I think that kind of his rivalry with Tom Cruise with Maverick, I think, is going to be really well displayed because of what happened to Goose in the first movie. I think that their relationship will be explored quite well, and I think Miles Teller is a good actor to bring that. And based on what I've seen from all the shots and stuff and how it's been filmed, it just looks absolutely mind-blowing, like all the fighter scenes and stuff, because Tom Cruise, as you would expect, has actually learned to fly a fighter jet for this movie, so he's doing it all himself, and all the cameras are inside the jets and stuff, and it just looks stunning. Like, it genuinely looks beautifully shot, and I think that the only thing that is holding me back about this movie is the director, because it's the same director as Oblivion, which is a movie I hate, but that movie is actually visually very, very nice, so I think that that pairing works well for Top Gun. Again, Hans Zimmer is doing the score for this as well. Cannot wait. I just think that this movie could be a really nice sequel and kind of like a really good successor to the original, which I don't think this is going to be a direct sequel to the original. I don't think it's going to be tonally the same. It doesn't look the same. And I like that. I like the fact that it's evolved with the times. And I think that this is going to be an appropriate sequel that I just cannot wait to see where it goes to carry on the story of Maverick, because, again, it's a film very close to my heart, so I'm very excited to see where it goes.
It's a good pick. I'm very much so excited for that. It's not like one of my most anticipated, but it's one that I'm definitely going to see. Number 4 is Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley. Guillermo is one of my favorite directors, hands down. Pan's Labyrinth is tied for my favorite film of all time. The Shape of Water, one of the best films of the decade. Crimson Peak, one of my favorites of the decade as well. Highly underrated. This has got an amazing cast. It's Rooney Mara. I think it's Cate Blanchett. Who else? There's Bradley Cooper. Amazing cast. But that's not the thing that gets me excited. The thing that gets me excited is Guillermo del Toro coming off of the enchanting The Shape of Water. It was so good and deserved to win all that it did at the Oscars. So obviously I'm anticipating anything from this guy. He produced Scary Stories last year, which was amazing. I loved that. And so anything with him, really, I've never not liked anything he's made. And, obviously you got an impressive cast. You got fascinating material. It's going to be apparently it's going to be noir-like. And I think that is totally within his wheelhouse. And he can sort of change it in different ways. I feel like there's always been the sense of the noir, underneath a lot of his films. But, he's one of my favorite directors. All I have to say, Pan's Labyrinth, The Shape of Water, Crimson Peak, Devil's Backbone. How can you not want to see this film?
Yeah, I had a feeling this was going to be on your list for sure. I actually haven't seen that many Guillermo movies. The only one I think I've actually seen is The Shape of Water, but I did love that film. It was my favorite of that year. Or was it? It might not have been.
Over Blade Runner?
No, that's what I was about to say. I was like, no, it wasn't. No, what I was going to say was it was my favorite out of the Best Picture nominees. That's what I meant.
Right.
I did want it to win Best Picture, and of course it did. But yeah, I'm very excited to see this next film from him, and I definitely should do some catching up, that's for sure. My number 3, God, this is such a trash list. But I can't deny it. I have never reacted more to a trailer than I did for this, and that is Fast and Furious 9.
God.
Fast and Furious, I love this franchise, and I unapologetically love it. I think this franchise is so much fun. It's just the epitome of fun in cinema. Yes, it's ridiculous. Yes, it makes no sense. Yes, it's too ridiculous at this point, but I just so enjoy it. I love the characters. I love the story. I love the lore behind it. I love how this franchise has evolved. And I know people will go on about, this franchise, it's just gone too far now. It's not what it was. But I actually think I disagree with that, because I think that Vin Diesel, who is a producer on these films, I think Vin Diesel, and hear me out here, is one of the most smartest producers in Hollywood. And I say this for a reason. There is a famous phrase in Hollywood, which is evolve or die. And it basically means if you don't keep changing, if you don't keep evolving with the times, you're going to get left behind. And I think Vin Diesel is very, very aware of this saying, because he's constantly changing and evolving this franchise to the point where it started off as these little street racing movies, and that was cool back then in the early 2000s, and then as the early 2000s came into the late 2000s, going into 2010s, they became a bit more action orientated, the audience became a bit more action orientated, so therefore the franchise reflected that. And now the movies are basically superhero comic book movies. And if you look at the box office every year, they're always at the top. Comic book movies are in right now. We are in the renaissance of the superhero movie, and that's literally what Fast and Furious has become. They have become superhero movies, and yes, it's ridiculous, but I think that it just shows how incredibly clever Vin Diesel is, and clearly it works, because since the 7th film, each of these movies, minus Hobbs and Shaw, the spin-off, has made over $1 billion. I think it just shows that, again, this franchise, it's so smart, and clearly it resonates with audiences. Clearly people love this stuff. And for me as a fan, I am so excited for this, because Justin Lin is returning to direct, he's like the god tier Fast and Furious fan favorite director. He's coming back. He did Tokyo Drift to 6, which is the peak era of Fast and Furious. He's coming back to direct this, which gets me very excited. And the main thing about this Sung Kang is returning as Han. This is the best thing ever. I have never freaked out more at a trailer than when I saw Han walk out at the end of the trailer. I literally jumped around my room screaming. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was just... Han is literally like my favorite character in this franchise. He's so cool. And the fact that... And, I mean, he's meant to be dead at this point. But the fact that they brought him back, it's just absolutely incredible. And the fact that they are doing the Justice for Han campaign, it's been around for years. Fans have wanted it. And they're finally giving it to us in this movie. I couldn't be more excited. Like, I mean, I'd be super hyped about this movie anyway. But it's the addition of Han that really drives this home. And for me, I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised that... I think this movie will be my number one of the year until, like, the very end. So... I'm really excited. Unapologetically, I love this franchise, and I cannot wait for this movie. I was a bit let down with Hobbs and Shaw. I thought that was a really weak spin-off. I hope they don't do a sequel to that, because it just doesn't feel like Fast and Furious. But this feels like Fast and Furious. This feels like the family, and I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Get on the hype train, Ben. # Justice for Han. Get on it.
I really used to love Fast and Furious. Like, I really like... Well, not as much Tokyo Drift. I like Tokyo Drift. I like 4, but then 5 to 7 I loved. Like, I love every one of those, especially 5 and 6, and then 7 was very more like emotional towards the end. And then I feel like Fast and Furious 8, sure, like you said, I think they're more sort of superhero kind of off the rails. It just doesn't feel like Fast and Furious to me, and this new trailer didn't feel like Fast and Furious to me. Like, why are you bringing back Charlize Theron? She was probably one of the worst things. I love her. She's a great actor, but she was terrible. I really didn't like her in, what was it, Fast and Furious 8. I don't know why you bring in John Cena. Obviously, he's a big name. I guess that's why, but he can't act. He can't act, in my opinion. And... yeah, it looks way too crazy, like, I don't know, shit CGI again. But I'm kind of happy The Rock and like Jason Statham aren't in, because I feel like they've had like 2 films in a row. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure about Jason Statham. I mean, like, more so to do with The Rock. Like, he's had like 2 films in a row basically. And I was very happy in the trailer to see Vin Diesel back after, you know, not seeing him in Hobbs and Shaw. And I'm glad that he's going to be sort of leading this, but I don't know. I'm not a new Fast and Furious fan. I've sort of dropped off a bit.
Not liking this negative energy. I was really on a big energy level there, and you've really brought me down.
Well, you're gonna have to deal with it. Sorry. Fine. Okay, let's move on past that shit show. I'm joking.
You're fired.
All right. Okay, I'm gone. All right. My number 3 pick is Steven Spielberg's new film, West Side Story. West Side Story is one of my favorite films of all time. It's a musical. Musical is my favorite genre as well as horror. And, you know, this really holds a special place in my heart. And I have full confidence in Spielberg, even though we don't need a remake of West Side Story. But because of Steven Spielberg, I have confidence that he's found a reason to make it again in his own way. And I think if it was with anyone else, I wouldn't be excited for it. But I believe with my whole heart that he would sort of deliver a nostalgic but fresh take on this beloved classic. And it's got Ansel Elgort in, who is like the perfect Tony in my opinion. And I'm really excited for Rachel Zegler because she looks like she's got a lot of talent. And I love that they didn't go for like an established Maria, you know, as the lead role. And so, you know, I think West Side Story, Steven Spielberg, Ansel Elgort, like, you can't go wrong. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to this too. I really like West Side Story. I think that Rachel Zegler, like you say, I think she's a really good find. I think seeing her first, like, initial kind of singing video was kind of like, wow.
Yes.
And I think that seeing her on social media, the way she's kind of been playing it up, like, she's really good on social media. I like her Twitter account a lot.
It is very good.
Yeah, I think she's just been playing it really well. So I'm very excited to see where they're going to go with this. I think that it could be really good. And obviously Spielberg directing it, you can't really go wrong with him. So I'm very excited about that myself. Okay, moving into number 2. I think this is going to be your number 1, although I could be wrong. My number 2 is Christopher Nolan's Tenet. finally I'm getting into a bit more justifiable choices. Tenet, I mean, first of all, it's Nolan. that's a good enough justification on its own. Big Nolan fan. I've not seen quite everything yet from him. I am going to catch up on his last two movies I need to see before I see this, which is Interstellar and Memento.
Wait, you've not seen Memento?
Nope.
Oh wait, you got to watch Memento.
And I will do. I've literally got the Blu-ray, so I'm gonna go watch that. But I think the Tenet, it kind of reminds me. It's kind of Nolan going back to blockbuster filmmaking. This is him, after taking a little bit of a break with Dunkirk. I know you could technically count Dunkirk as a blockbuster, but I mean this is like him going back to like Inception. This is him going back to kind of almost like the Dark Knight level of filmmaking, which I'm really excited about because Nolan really does well in that field. I mean, he does well in basically any field, but if he does like a big event film like this, it's going to be really, really exciting. I'm really excited about the cast of this movie. He's really got like a new generation of Nolan stars. Like he's got, John David Washington, who I really impressed me in BlacKkKlansman last year, or the year before, sorry. Obviously, Robert Pattinson, who has just been absolutely killing it in recent years. Cannot wait to see him in this. Elizabeth Debicki, who's really good. Even Himesh Patel, who was in Danny Boyle's Yesterday, is actually in this movie, which I think is an interesting choice. And obviously we have got a couple of other regulars as well, like Michael Caine and Kenneth Branagh are both in this as well. And I just think the concept of this, although we don't know a lot about it, it seems like it is involving time travel, at least, or some kind of depiction of time. Like time is definitely a theme in this. And that's really exciting. And what got me super hyped about this is actually at the weekend, I was seeing Joker again in the Cineworld IMAX Film Fest. And when I was actually there, they showed 5 minutes of Tenet. So I have seen...
Prologue.
Yeah, the prologue. Yeah.
I saw that a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw that for the first time at the weekend, and I was absolutely floored by it. Like, it looks so well shot, so well handled. And the music... I believe it's Ludwig Göransson doing the score. I remember that like teaser trailer that leaked, and that's the same score they use in this prologue scene, and it is just beautiful. It's so good. This is definitely like a score I'm gonna love. I mean, Nolan always gets great scores. It's a shame that Hans isn't doing this one, but I think Ludwig, based on what I've heard, it sounds phenomenal. So I think that this is going to be a really big movie for Nolan, and I think this could really kind of bring him back into the forefront as a director that is getting a lot more attention, because he has kind of been a bit silent in recent years after films like Interstellar, which obviously I know you love Interstellar, but it wasn't his most well-received movie by any regard, and neither was Dunkirk, so it's kind of like it's him really coming back in. I think Tenet's really going to bring him back to the forefront, which I think is really exciting, so I think this is going to be a huge film, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, no comment. I know what your number one film is, by the way. But I'm not going to say. Okay, my number two pick is The French Dispatch by Wes Anderson. It was on my list. It was maybe like my fourth pick or something, but it's now my number two after seeing that trailer. And I've seen that trailer probably like 20 times. It's so good. It's so Wes Anderson. Reminds me obviously of The Grand Budapest, but it reminds me of his other films, and it looks like something new as well. And it's really, really fascinating. And Wes is one of my favorite directors, and I've literally watched like all of his films. I can watch them over and over and over again. I think they're so well made, so well crafted, and everything has impact. Whether it's the production design, even just like the set dressing, and obviously the acting, like they all hit their marks so well, and you can tell by the trailer they're all on point. And Wes is holding nothing back, and I think this trailer really, really boosted my hype. Obviously, I thought Isle of Dogs was fantastic. That was one of my favorite films of 2018. The Grand Budapest is one of my favorite films of all time. Moonrise Kingdom, one of my favorite films of all time. Like, it goes back all the way to like Rushmore and stuff. He's such a fucking good director that anything he does, I'm there for it, and I've loved every film that I've seen from him. So this trailer looks so good, and I've just been hyped for this for so long. And all I will say is I need Timothée Chalamet in a Wes Anderson film, like I need him in a Denis film. And yeah, I just can't wait for The French Dispatch.
Yeah, the trailer came out recently. It really impressed me. Wes is a director that I have been delving into recently. Like Isle of Dogs, I saw when it came out, and I was absolutely floored by that movie. Like I was amazed by that. And I did see the Grand Budapest this year, which, oh god, that is such a good movie. And yeah, I think the French Dispatch, it definitely looks like it is a lot more in line with something like Grand Budapest, which, you know, everyone loves that film. So I think that if that's anything to go by, people are going to love this. Okay, so my number one, let's see if you're right. My number one is Dune. Yeah, Denis Villeneuve is my favorite director of all time. I adore the man. I practically worship him. I think that he is a god amongst men and one of the finest filmmakers, probably of all time. Probably a little bit biased, but you know. I have basically seen every single one of his films. The only one I've not seen, well, actually, there's two I've not seen because they're so difficult to get your hands on. I'm trying though, but like, God, Incendie, absolutely incredible. Enemy, amazing. Prisoners, absolutely horrific to watch, but brilliant. Sicario, amazing. Arrival, phenomenal. Blade Runner 2049, my favorite movie of all time. Denis Villeneuve, he just blows me away every single time. And, oh God, I want to meet him. But Dune, as you said, it's such a perfect choice for Denis. Like, after doing some big sci-fi epic like Arrival, then going into doing a franchise film like Arrival, like Blade Runner, him tackling Dune just makes so much sense. He has the sense of scale for it. He has the talent for it. And I think that him bringing all these elements together, like this cast that he's assembled, is absolutely ginormous. Like, say, Timothée Chalamet in the lead is just really exciting. Oscar Isaac, I'm really excited about. The only casting choice I'm not a fan of is Jason Momoa as Duncan Idaho. I don't think that's a good casting choice, only because I don't really like Jason Momoa personally. Well, I think he's a bad actor, and also I've met him. He's kind of a dick. But I think that Jason Momoa is the only outlier in this for me. But the rest of it, like I say, Denis directing. If anyone can get a good performance out of Jason Momoa, it's going to be Denis, because he got an amazing performance out of Dave Bautista, and I didn't think that was possible. So yeah. I have faith. Obviously, I've mentioned him a couple times already. Hans doing the score. The only thing that is really disappointing to me about this is that Roger Deakins isn't doing the cinematography for this. He's worked with Denis on a few of his films and Blade Runner. It's a shame that he's not doing it, but I think that Dune, although, and what's funny about Dune as well, I know nothing about Dune. I know nothing about the source material. And quite frankly, I don't care about the source material. For me, I'm only excited about this because it's Denis. Like, I said this to a couple of people before, but like, if Denis wasn't directing this, I wouldn't care. I would not care about this movie. I'd be like, I'd definitely like keep an eye out for it, but I just wouldn't really care about it if it wasn't for Denis doing it. And I'm fully prepared for this movie not to blow me away as well. I'm prepared for this movie to, you know, I don't expect this to be my favorite film from him or anything like that. It's not going to be a favorite movie of all time. But I'm sure I'm going to love it. And if anyone can get me involved in this franchise and anyone can get me excited for it, it's Denis. So, you know, I've got to respect my favorite director, and that's why it's got to be my number one choice. And also, just I cannot wait to see that first ounce of footage, because based on what anyone else is saying about it, people are saying this is like the next Star Wars. This is like the next, you know, Lord of the Rings. It's just going to be this huge, huge epic scale event, and I cannot wait to see it. And, you know, Denis for me is just getting better and better. I really hope this movie does well, because Blade Runner, as we know, it was kind of a flop, unfortunately, which is a real shame because of how bloody brilliant it was.
So good. And
that's why I'm actually, I mean, you say obviously it's a no-brainer why he got this project, and I agree with that. But also I'm kind of shocked because I'm surprised they're giving this, because this is going to have a huge budget, that they're giving this huge budget to Denis, who, again, did Blade Runner and it kind of flopped. But that wasn't his fault. So anyway, yeah, Dune is definitely my number one, 100%, no questions asked.
There was no doubt about that. It could easily be my number one when I see the trailer. It's, you know, I think my top 6 from Dune, Last Night in Soho, Nightmare Alley, West Side Story, The French Dispatch, my number one. Like, they're all, like, I have to see. Like, there's no way I'm not seeing them. So I agree with everything you're saying. But one question, Declan. Did you get to see Blade Runner 2049 and Arrival in the cinemas recently? Whew.
No, but I did see Blade Runner. I did see Blade Runner in the cinema when it came out in IMAX, and it was just like, mwah.
Yeah, so did I. But did you see it again recently?
No, because I don't live in London, do I?
Shame. All right. My number one is. Can you guess? Say it, Declan.
Teen Eat.
Neat. Yes. How did you guess? Yeah, my number one is Tenet. Like you said, you literally just said it's Christopher Nolan, right? You said that at the start.
Yep.
Or what I wrote down, it's Christopher Nolan. What else must be said?
Exactly.
One of the greatest filmmakers of all time. When a great filmmaker like him or like Wes Anderson, Spielberg, Guillermo del Toro, when any of them return, or Denis, when any of them return, they're going to be on my list because they're some of the best filmmakers of all time. And so that goes with Christopher Nolan and Tenet, and it just looks that fucking good. Like the trailer, bang! I watched it so many times. Probably the trailer I watched the most. Like just behind that would be like the French Dispatch, but this concept and this idea. Obviously, I don't have a full picture of what it's going to be, but I don't want a full picture of what it's going to be because it's Christopher Nolan, and this guy, like Denis Villeneuve, he blows my mind in basically most films that he makes, like all the way back to Memento. Blows my mind. It absolutely blew my mind when I saw that film. Inception, Interstellar was like the biggest like mind fuck. Like I literally was just speechless. Like I didn't see it when it came out, and I was waiting for it to be in the cinema, and I watched it like I think it was last year or the year before, and I came out and I just was like, it was the best experience I've ever had at the cinema. I just came out of the IMAX, the BFI IMAX, which is like the biggest screen in England, like completely overwhelmed. I just walked back, went on the train, and just literally did nothing. I just stared into the abyss. I was just like, holy fuck, what did I just see? This is so fucking good. Only Christopher Nolan can do that to me. And so watching this trailer, I'm like, sure, but it seems like it's this espionage twist on like Inception. And, you know, people were saying it's like, I guess there was comparison to North by Northwest, one of my favorite films of all time. So I really, really think that this is like a film that I'm, like it's going to be my film. I really feel like I'm going to love it. And I'm already fascinated by what like even Tenet means. Like we've got a word for you, Tenet. That's what they say in the trailer. Like, what does it mean? And that's the same thing with the word Inception. You don't know what it is before the film, but then in the film they tell you what it is, and it's a fascinating concept. And I think Tenet is going to be a fascinating concept. And then, like you said, you got John David Washington, who was amazing in Black Klansman. You've got Robert Pattinson, like you said, he's absolutely killing it. He's one of my favorite actors working right now. And, the list goes on as to the reasons, the cinematography, Hoyte van, how do you say this? Hoytema. Hoyt van Hoytema. That is hard to say, but he is one of the best cinematographers working today as well. Teaming back up with Nolan, obviously in Inception and Dunkirk, obviously, which he got nominated for an Oscar as well. So this is really like Christopher Nolan Inception mode activated, like sort of like it's this. I feel like it's old Christopher Nolan. Like I love Dunkirk, I love Interstellar, but this seems like it's Inception Christopher Nolan, which is very exciting, and he's always very welcome around here.
Indeed, he is. It's like I said, it's kind of him returning to that blockbuster filmmaking on the level of Inception and The Dark Knight and stuff like that, which I think, obviously, I guess a lot of people consider that the golden era of Nolan. So, I mean, if there even is a golden era, it's all the golden era.
It's all golden.
It's all golden. Anyway, so that's your number one. It was Tenet. My number one was Dune. And yeah, that is our most anticipated of 2020. Make sure you leave your thoughts on our lists and how trash mine is and how much better Ben's is in the comment section down below. And while you're at it, why don't you leave your own in the comments as well? Make sure you leave those in the comments. We can have a discussion about that. And stay tuned for any new episodes of Real Movie Talk as and when they come out. We are trying to sort out a schedule. We agreed recently that we do need to just like full on just agree on something that we can do, that we can work on. But we'll get back to you guys as soon as we know about what we're doing with that. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to this episode of Real Movie Talk. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from us. And also, if you think of anybody else who may enjoy this kind of content, be sure to share it with them so they can enjoy it as well. And as always, I've been Dec.
I've been Ben.
And we hope to see you guys again in the next episode.